As crude oil prices linger below $40 a barrel, tax breaks for unprofitable wells are growing. Rebates for so-called economically at-risk wells are projected to grow to more than $150 million this year. Oklahoma Watch reporter Warren Veith joins us to talk about the rebate. Warren, thank you for being with us. How did this tax break come about?
Susan, it was created about 10 years ago. At the time, oil prices were higher than they are now and headed north, so were natural gas prices. The idea was to provide some protection for people who operate older wells that barely produce enough oil or gas to cover the cost of operations and also tax payments. What's happened, though, is it's snowballed since then.
Well, how does the rebate work?
If you have a well where once you add up at the end of the year how much money you got for the oil or the gas and how much you spent on expenses and how much you paid the state in production taxes, and if it doesn't show a profit, you fill out a form, send it to the tax commission, and they in effect send back almost all of the gross production tax.
I want to ask you about, when we think of oil wells, we think of these larger companies, but there are actually some that are owned by smaller individuals or families.
More than you might think. There are like 180,000 wells out there that are still considered active. And these horizontal wells that we've heard so much about, there have only been about 8,000 of those drilled over the last few years. So many of these wells, they go back decades. We have wells in Oklahoma that are 100 years old and still producing. And I think something like half of the membership of the Independent Petroleum Association consists of little mom and pop operations with fewer than 10 employees.
What's been the impact of declining oil prices on the rebate program?
It's really hit it hard or caused the rebates to increase. 2 years ago, oil prices were $100 a barrel. Natural gas was selling for about $4 per thousand cubic feet, and the state paid out $11 million in these rebates. Next year, right now oil is below $40 a barrel. Natural gas is below $2. The payouts are expected to be $158 million.
What do you see the legislature doing about this? Can they do anything?
They could. There was legislation introduced this year that would have suspended this tax rebate program for 2 years. That legislation didn't advance past one of the legislative deadlines. The advocates of the oil and gas industry are afraid this might come up again as the state tries to do something about the budget crisis.
Well, and the rebate is important to the smaller producers that you discussed earlier.
Yeah, as opposed to some business tax credits where questions are raised about whether they're really being used appropriately, the industry advocates here say that this credit's doing exactly what it was designed to do. It's keeping some of these really old wells in production that might get shut down.
Some tough choices at the legislature. Thank you so much, Warren Veith with Oklahoma Watch.
Thank you, Susan.